Prapto yasya pratita kripaya Sri Guru tam natos Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya Hema Padivyatschavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhaktya Vina Aparada Lakse Chilpasta Kamari Ramkamati Kripa Mahiva Sharanam Prapanda Vrinde Numasi Saranara Vrindam Vrinde Numasi Saranara Vrindam Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Govinda Damodara Madhaviti He Krishna He Anama He Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaviti Sham Sundar Shikanda Shikha Smaraha Sumrili Manora Radhikara Sikamama Kripanadhe Supriya Charana King Kurin Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Toya Vina Jivikaya Devi Tam Namah Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart, like flowers thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramaradhatama, Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotara Satasri, Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Vasandubhyavacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo.
Shri Gurudeva ki
By the causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, for 4 days we have been hearing the explanation of Srimad Bhagavatam and the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given by Srila Jiva Goswami Pad in his short Sandarbhas. So, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, we have collected just a few jewels from the ocean of each one. So now we're coming to the fourth and the final part of the presentation of Sambandha, Tattva, Krishna Sandarbha. Although in the second Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad has in a general way established the qualities of Bhagavan. But here in Krishna Sandarbha, he will establish Eite Changsa Kala Pungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The Bhagavan Swayam, the original form of the Supreme Lord, from which all other forms come. That is Sri Krishna. He makes a very elaborate grammatical analysis of this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So for more details you can see in Velectri festival, as we're describing the Krishna Tattva in Sanatan Shiksha. There we have presented the Srila Jiva Goswami's very elaborate grammatical explanation of this verse. Then Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, he shows that Sri Krishna is the main subject being presented by Srimad Bhagavatam. Because even though you can hear from Srimad Bhagavatam the pastimes of Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimhadev, pastimes of Lord Narayan, Kurma, Lord Ramachandra, but the main subject of Srimad Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna. And we can see this by the fact that the 10th canto is the largest canto and it is fully devoted to Sri Krishna. And also throughout all the other cantos, whenever there's a conversation, we see that Sutta Goswami, the goal of his life is Sri Krishna. In the discussion between Narada and Vyasadeva, they were discussing about realization of Krishna. Then in the discussions of Vidura and Maitreya, in the 3rd canto, the main subject is Krishna. So in this way, Krishna is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is mainly focused on Sri Krishna. And the other avatars have been described only to give some teachings about the nature of Leela Tattva, to give some teachings about Jnana and Vairagya and so on. And by delineating what is not Swayam Bhagavan, that is also one way we can understand something about the nature of Swayam Bhagavan. So Swayam Bhagavan is being defined directly and indirectly. Now, one of the very important subjects of Krishna Sandarbha is the discussion of Leela Tattva. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad describes that Krishna's Leela can be divided into 2 aspects, Prakat Leela and Aprakat Leela. Now this is Siddhanta, but it's essential to understand these philosophical points, otherwise you will not understand later the deep rasa of Sri Krishna's Leela and the nature of the love between Krishna and Gopis. This is the very common problem today. People try to go directly to understand Krishna and the Gopis. But what it is, how it is not what people think. Even by reading the words or hearing the words from a person who does not have realization of that Leela. A person who has realization will never speak the Leela cheaply in front of anyone. First they will prepare the person through very strong sadhana and going very carefully through all the tattvas to gradually make a platform that there's a chance to enter into this higher subject. So, Prakat Leela means the pastimes of Sri Krishna, which are manifest and visible to the senses of the living beings who are in this world at the time when Sri Krishna appears and performs his pastimes on earth once in a day of Brahma, in the end of the Dwarpa Yuga, in the 28th cycle of ages, during the reign of the 7th Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. When Krishna comes at that time, then everyone can see who is there. See Krishna, and his pastimes are going on. That is called Prakat Lila, manifest. And Aprakat Lila means the Lila which is not visible to those who are not situated in Krishna Prem. It is not visible to conditioned souls. So that Aprakat Lila is of Goloka Vrindavan. And it is also here on earth, but Aprakat, not visible. Only those who are qualified can see it. So that is Aprakat Lila. Now, these are not two different Leelas. The Prakat Lila, when the Aprakat Lila becomes Prakat, then it's called Prakat Lila. Understand? For example, in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Ajopi sanavayatma bhutana mishropi san prakritna samadhistaya sambhavami atmamayaya. I am unborn. And my body is avyay. It is never deteriorating. It is immutable. It is unchanging. If there's a word in Sanskrit grammar that never takes an ending and never changes, called avyay. So Krishna is avyay. His body is never changing. But when he performs his Leela here, we see he's a little baby, and then he grows and he becomes a boy, then he becomes an adolescent, becomes Kishore, and he remains like that for the rest of the Leela. So how can Krishna say, Avyayatma, my body does not change? So the reason is, because in Krishna's Aprakat Leela, in Golok Vrindavan, there are many Prakashas. Prakash means a dimension of the Leela. Prakash. So in one Prakash is a little baby, in another Prakash is a bit bigger, in another Prakash is a little bigger, like this. So all of Krishna's ages are present there, in different dimensions going on simultaneously. So in each dimension, that body of Krishna is not changing. Avyayatma. Unchanging. So, all of the... I'll come to that afterwards. Okay. So, now, when Sri Krishna makes his Prakat Lila in this world, then what happens is, his baby Lila, which is Aprakat, becomes Prakat. And then, that Prakash becomes Aprakat, unmanifest, and the next one becomes Prakat, where he's a little bit older. And that becomes Aprakat, and that one. So what we are seeing that looks like the flow of Leela in this world is actually the Prakat, the manifestation of one Aprakat Prakash after another in a sequence, and it looks like Krishna is growing. Huh? Amazing. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami said, now consider the Aprakat Leela. The unmanifest Leela also has two types. One is called Mantrupasana Mai Leela Pit. Pit means the seat or the platform where something is established. So there is a Leela Pit. There is a place of Leela. And it is called Mantrupasana Mai Leela. This Leela Pit, there are unlimited prakashas of this Leela Pit. And in each one, Sri Krishna and a particular group of associates are present. And it is in one location. And one bhav, one lila is going on forever. So it may be a baby lila, it may be a boyhood lila, it may be a kishore lila. So the Mantrapasnamaya Lila Pit has been described in the Brahma Samhita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling in South India and he heard the Brahma Samhita, he was amazed because he could understand the secrets that it was expressing. So for example, in the Brahma Samhita it is said, Vainum Kwananta Maravinda Dalayataksham Bhavata Citam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. See, Krishna is playing his flute. He is wearing a peacock feather. His complexion is like a fresh rain cloud. He is more charming than millions of cupids. Alola Chandra Kala Sadbanamalya Bangsi Ratnangadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Alola Chandra Kala Sad. He's wearing a locket like the moon and it's swinging. Banamalya, and he's wearing a garland of forest flowers, very long. Banamali, Mala means that reaches down to his feet. Ratnangadam, he's wearing Ratnangad, that means armlets with Navaratna, because his mother is worried about him when he goes to the forest. Maybe there'll be some dangerous demons. So problems come in your life because Navagrahas, 9 planets, make a disturbance. So if you go to an astrologer, they'll try to sell you some jewels to counteract the graha which is affecting your life. So Madhya Yashoda is so worried about Krishna that she has given him an angad with 1 jewel for each of the Navagrahas. Don't want to take any chances. So all 9 jewels for 9 grahas are there arranged in a circle and he has it on his arm. Ratnangada Pranayakeli Kala Vilasam. But he is now in the forest with the Braja Gopis, Pranaya Keli Kala, and very beautiful, intimate, loving pastimes are going on. Smiling, talking, laughing, joking. And Krishna is holding his flute and he's standing, Tribanga, in his very attractive 3-fold bending form. Niyata Prakash, and this Prakash is Niyata, forever. It's a Prakash forever, this scene, not going anywhere. No change of scenery, no change of location. So here Brahmaji is seeing in his trance the Mantrapasnamaya Lila Pit. So the speciality of this Lila Pit is that Gurudev by mantra, like Gopal mantra, or by, you can understand that the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, or here Brahma Samhita, they can also be considered mantras. And giving that mantra to the disciple when he is qualified, especially in the stage of asakti, he can utter that mantra and the scene will appear, and then Hare Krishna, chant Harinam and serve in that Mantrapasnamaya Lila Pit. So the Diksha mantra is to facilitate that entrance into the Mantrapasnamaya Lila Pit. Now the other type of Lila Pit is called Swarasiki. Swarasiki Lila Pit. It is not in one place. This Lila is moving from place to place. It's dynamic. What will happen next, no one knows. Different associates, different moods, different Leelas, different locations. So this is actually a higher meditation. One cannot go directly to this. One has to enter the Mantrapasnamaya Lila Pit first. And then later the higher realizations will come. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard the Brahma Samhita, was very happy because he saw there the Swarasiki Leela was realized also by Lord Brahma. Where Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu Kalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahmasepyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. First, Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu, the houses, Nanda Bhavan, Nanda Maharaj's palace where Krishna lives, is made of Chintamani, wish-fulfilling jewels. So there in the first line, Krishna is at home in the morning time. He woke up, milked the cows, came back, took a bath, and then had breakfast. But then after his breakfast, he takes a little rest, and then Surabira Vipalayantam. He's tending the cows, taking the cows to graze. He doesn't do that in the house. So in this verse, Lord Brahma is seeing how Krishna is leaving in the morning and going out into the forest, Kalpa Vriksha, where all the desire trees are. And in the shade of the desire trees, on the bank of Jamuna, see Krishna is tending the cows, along with the cowherd boys. So first his associates, in the early morning, Madhya Yashoda comes to wake him up, along with Purnamasi Devi and Mukura Devi. Radharani's grandmother also comes to see him in the morning. And his nursemaid, Ambika. Like this. So there's a lot of Vatsalya Ras present there when they wake him up in the morning. And he takes a breakfast with Nanda Maharaj. So then Krishna goes out into the forest. Now he's with the cowherd boys, a different set of associates, different mood, different pastime, different location. Then Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahmasebhyamanam. See, Krishna is accepting the spontaneous, intense, loving services of thousands of Lakshmis. That means gopis. So he cannot do that while he's taking care of cows with the cowherd boys. So that means now he snook off from the boys. They had a picnic and they took rest, and then Krishna got up, and perhaps with just Madhu Mangal or Subal, some Priyanama Sakhas, he set off and went to another place, and now he is met with the gopis in Radhakund. So in this way, this is called Swarasiki Lila, moving from location to location, different moods, different pastimes, different associates, and so on. Yeah. So the relationship between the two, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said, is like if the Ganges is flowing, but sometimes it comes to a place where the river is very wide. So if you come there, it looks like a lake, looks like a big lake, and the water is still. So Mantrupasana Mai Leela Pit is like that. It's in one place, not moving. But if you enter that, what will happen? As by the mercy of Sri Guru and the eternal associates of Sri Krishna, then at one point they may get up and then go somewhere else. And so that's like the river was going like this, then it was like a big lake, and then on the other side it's then flowing again. So having entered into the Mantrupasnamaya Leela Pit and serving there, after some time when it becomes more advanced, then the associates will get up and one will be in the spontaneous flow of Leela. And that is called Nitya Leela or the Astakaliya Leela. So you cannot go directly to Astakaliya Leela. But how to eventually become qualified for that? Gurudev has given Diksha Mantra and service to the Ishtadev of Radha and Krishna. All the archan which is done prior to entering into Raganuga Bhakti in our line is like it is a preparation to enter into that Mantrupasnamaya Leela Pit. You see, we sing Gora Arti. Kiba Jayo Jaya Gora Chandra. It is the Navadvip Leela Pit. And then, having been absorbed in the Navadvip Leela Pit, Navadvip turns into Vrindavan. Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milan Aroti Karaya Lalitadi Sakigan. So in this way, our daily practices, even for those who are just coming now, in Vaidhi Bhakti, it's all aimed at entering eventually into Raganuga Bhakti and Nitya Seva in the Astakali Lila, Swarasiki Lila. So, we can say that Sri Krishna's form of Gopavesha Venu Kara Navakesho Natabara, his form as a Kishore, an adolescent boy, holding a flute, dressed as a cowherd boy, very beautifully decorated, like a Natabara. So that form of Krishna is his original form, Swayam Rup, Radhakanta, the beloved of Radhika. All other forms, all other pastimes, all other dhams, all other prakashas of Vrindavan, prakat and aprakat, everything comes from that original form. So, when the Leelas are manifest in this world, age by age by age, then the original form is the Kishore Roop. And in the spiritual world, that Kishore Roop Leela is going on Swarasiki all the time. And all the other ages, the different pastimes of the other ages which are manifest here in a sequence in the Prakat Leela, they are there in the Aprakat Leela, but they are Mantramaya Upasana. Those Prakashas are Mantramaya Upasana. So in this way, the supreme and original position of Krishna's Kishore Leela is established in this way. Now, why is this important to the devotees on the path of Rasupasana and who are aspiring for the service of Radha Krishna, following in the moods of Braja Gopis? So, Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, he gives examples of Prakat and Aprakat Leela in relationship to Krishna's relationship with love of Gopis of Vrindavan. Sri Krishna's Leela went on for about 10 years and 9 months. Then Akrura came to Vrindavan and Sri Krishna went to Mathura. At that time, all the Braja Gopis, they were in a state of intolerable, indescribable separation from Sri Krishna. And after Krishna had liberated Kamsa Maharaj, then Vasudeva and Devaki were very concerned that now he has saved the Yadus and got rid of the tyrant Kamsa, who was terrorizing everyone. Krishna may go back to Vrindavan. So they wanted to make sure that, no, Krishna, you have to understand, you are not a coward boy, you are a Kshatriya. So Vasudeva and Devaki arranged for Krishna's the Upanayan Sanskar. Because Brahmin boys, they take the Upanayan Sanskar, receive Brahmin thread when they're 8 years old. Before the age of 8, they have to take. And for Kshatriyas, it is 12. And for the Vaishyas, 13. So, Krishna had not received the Brahmin thread arranged by Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan because he wasn't old enough. So now, Krishna had come to Braja. And so he was old enough now to receive his Upanayan Sanskar. Sorry, they have to be, Kshatriyas are 10. And then the Vaishyas are, I think, 12. So now he was old enough. He could not take in Braj, but he could take here. And the rules and regulations for the different castes is different. So if his samskar will be performed, Upanayan Sanskar, according to the vidhi for Kshatriyas, at the age for Kshatriyas, then it will give the impression to Krishna, you are a Kshatriya, you're not a Gopal. So the Vasudeva Maharaj arranged this. Gargacharya gave him the Brahma Gayatri. But actually, the Adhisthasri deity of Brahma Gayatri is really Radharani. So when he received this, Krishna was fainting. So then they did the fire sacrifice. And after the fire sacrifice, when Krishna had been shaved and given a danda, and Balaram also, then you know that the newly initiated person has to go and do begging. Bhavati Bhiksham De, he has to beg first from a woman, and then from men or women in any order. So when Gargacharya told him, now you have to beg, then Devaki was waiting there with some dakshina, to give to Krishna. But Krishna was standing there with his cloth and looking around, and he was remembering that Madhya Yashoda said, when your Upanayan Sanskar comes, then come to me, I will fill your cloth with jewels. And he was just remembering Madhya Yashoda and crying. Oh Maya, Maya. And Devaki was standing there thinking, I am your mother, why are you not coming to me? And Krishna was crying, oh Maya, Maya. And he fainted and became unconscious. So then Vasudeva and Devaki thought, this is very serious. How attached he is. So we have to send him to a Gurukul far away. So they sent him to the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni in Ujjain. Krishna and Balaram went there, they studied for 2 months and learned 64 arts. And after bringing back Sandipani Muni's son from the abode of Yamaraj as a dakshina, then Krishna and Balaram came back to Mathura. So when Krishna came back to Mathura, he went up onto the roof of the palace of Vasudeva Maharaj, and he saw all the trees in the gardens were blossoming. And he remembered, Saurabha Sankato Vrindavana Tata. How the forest of Vrindavan, with the flowers blossoming, was filled with beautiful fragrances. And he saw the Jamuna river is flowing through Mathura, but it went to Vrindavan first. And there are high waves in the Jamuna because gopis are crying so much, their tears are making the Jamuna become filled with high waves. And seeing this, Krishna was heartbroken. He thought, now I kill Kamsa. All the allies of Kamsa, like Jarasandha, Kalayavan, Vidurata, Dantavakra and others, they want to kill me. So if I go back to Vrindavan, they'll all attack there. But Braja is just a village. There's no fortification. Here in Mathura, it's a city with high walls and many soldiers. So I cannot go. But my gopis are feeling so much separation from me. When will I be able to return to them? And Krishna was crying. At that time, Uddhav was wandering around. Where is Krishna? And after looking here and there, finally he went up onto the roof of the palace. And so, from behind, Krishna was there looking at the Jamuna and weeping. He just saw Krishna's there, and he came. Oh, Krishna. And Krishna turned around, and then Uddhav saw for the first time in his life, Krishna's crying. He cannot believe it. The Krishna he is worshipping is Sachidananda Vigraha, the embodiment of all joy. But he's crying. Why? And Krishna held the hand of Uddhav. Gachtuddhava prajam somya pritro na pritimavaha gopi nam madviyogadim matsandaisha vimocha. Gacha means go. Where? Go. Go Uddhav. Gach Uddhava prajam. Go to Braja. Gopi nam matviyogadim. Pitro na pritimavaha. You should pacify and satisfy our parents. Krishna is using plural. Our parents. Why? To refer to himself in the plural. Because he's very proud of Nanda and Yashoda. He's very proud. Nanda and Yashoda. Which mother can have love like Mother Yashoda? Who can lovely like Nanda Maharaj here in Mathura? Where they see that I am Bhagavan. But Nanda and Yashoda, I am just their Lala, their little boy. So being very proud of Nanda and Yashoda, he said, nah, he refers to himself in the plural, the royal we. Or it can mean, oh Uddhav, our parents. Means that you are so close to me. Don't think they're only my parents, they're also like your parents. They will love you so much when you go there. And so because they're suffering, and they're also your parents, you should have compassion for them. Even though you want to stay here with me in Mathura. But no, gaccha, go. And by your Somya, your Somya means your face is like Soma, the moon. If anyone goes for a walk in the moonlight, all the anxiety goes away. So when Nanda and Yashoda see your moon-like face, and you, with sweet words and very clever diplomatic speech, try to pacify them. But Gopinam madviyogadim matsandesha vimochaya. Don't try to use your intelligence and your eloquence to pacify the gopis. Don't. You cannot do it. Whatever you say will only make things worse. So for them, matsandesha vimochaya. You should just deliver them my messages. I am giving you these messages now. You should recite them to Braj Gopis 3 times. Once, and then see how they react. And then again. And then again. Because each time they will experience the message in a different way. So, there are many beautiful verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. How Krishna described the love of Braj Gopis to Uddhav. Why? To create his lobh, his greed. That is not our subject today. We're discussing prakat and aprakat. But we have to set the scene a little. So, Krishna described the greatness of Gopis' love. Why? So, because hearing from Krishna, Uddhav will think, I want to see these persons who have such love. Because here in Mathura, I am Krishna's closest devotee. What kind of persons are these? So he had agreed. So it's not that the horses of the chariots pulled Uddhav to Vrindavan, but rather Uddhav was riding on the chariot of his greed. There's only one price to go to Vrindavan. You cannot go to Vrindavan by spending whatever, $500 on a ticket and visa. No. One can only ride there on the chariot of greed. So Uddhav, he went to Braja. As he was entering into Braj, he saw the bulls. They were fighting with each other, banging their horns together, fighting over the cows. The cows were mooing, and their bells were ringing, and milk was everywhere. It was so beautiful. Peacocks were dancing, bumblebees were humming, cuckoo birds were calling. Woohoo! Oh, it was so beautiful. And then the next moment he looked and saw the cows are lean and thin and lying on the ground as if dying. All the flowers have wilted. The peacocks are not dancing. The bumblebees have left the flowers. The bumblebees are rolling on the ground crying. It's complete devastation. No one is cooking. The pots are turned over. The chulas, the stoves have cobwebs. Spiders have made cobwebs there. It seems as if the whole of Braj is weeping in separation from Sri Krishna. So what is this? Prakat? Prakat. By the influence of Yoga Maya, when Uddhav was riding the chariot and entering into Braja, Yoga Maya just for a moment showed him the Aprakat Leela, where Krishna is always present, where Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, and everyone and everything is full of joy. But then the next moment, Yogamaya hid the Aprakat Leela, and he saw the Prakat Leela which was going on now, in this day of Lord Brahma on earth, where Krishna has left Vrindavan and gone to Mathura. So then he came and he spoke with Nanda Maharaj. He could not speak with Yashoda because she was crying so much he'd become as if blind. And the whole night he was speaking with Nanda Maharaj. And then in the morning, when the sun was rising, he went to take his bath and remember his Gayatri mantras. So at that time, Udgayatinam Aravindalochanam Gopangananam Divamaspishadvani Dagnas Chanirmantana Shabdamisrito Nirasyate Yena Dishamma Mangalam. Very good. You don't know? You have to say this verse every morning when you wake up. This is part of Archan. In Archan Tipika, the rules and regulations of Vaidhi Bhakti, Archan, when you wake up in the morning, you jump out of bed and say, Jayati Janani Vaso, this one. And then you say this verse. So this was Udgayati Namma Ravindalochana. Morning came and he could hear the gopis they were singing loudly the glories of Krishna and his beautiful lotus eyes. Dagnasta Nirmantana Shabdamishito. And as the gopis were singing, they were churning also yogurt to make butter. And the churning sticks were going diktan, diktan. Da gurgur, da gurgur. Like mridanga beats. And their bangles were jingling together like kartals, and they were singing loudly, full of love, the glories of Sri Krishna. And the sound of the kirtan was touching the sky and removing all inauspiciousness. So you have to sing this every morning when you wake up. This verse is, you have it from Srimad Bhagavatam? Did you put it there? Udgayati Namma Ravindalochanam. But it's so small. So, okay, don't panic. So, what was this? Again, Yoga Maya was giving Uddhav a glimpse of the Swarasiki Lila, the Aprakat Lila, the unmanifest pastimes. How Brajmanda was full of joy. But then the next moment, then that vision disappeared and again he saw the Prakat Lila here. So then, Uddhav, he saw a light shining, rising up from the forest nearby. He said, what is that light? And he followed it. And as he entered into that forest, which was filled with light, he saw a sight that he could never have imagined in his life. So many thousands of gopis, lean and thin. They've become so thin that that which would be the ring, that which would be like a ring on their finger, is now like a bangle on their arm. They've become so lean and thin. Their cloth is worn and torn and covered in dust. And they're crying, Ha Krishna, rolling on the ground. It was very painful for him to see. Those gopis, they came and they surrounded him. They were thinking, who is this person? His complexion is like Krishna. His features are like Krishna. He smells like Krishna because he's wearing Krishna's garland. Because Krishna gave his own garland and his own pitambar to Uddhav before he left. but he's not Krishna. Huh? Very amazing. A gopi in separation will see a tamal tree and think it's Krishna and embrace it. Tamal tree only looks a little like Krishna. And she thinks, it's Krishna and embrace it. But Uddhav looks almost exactly like Krishna, but they don't embrace him. And think it's Krishna. Why? Will be rasabas. So Yogamaya, the Leela Shakti, always prevents any rasabas dosh, any impure manifestation of mellows due to defective ingredients, defective rasa samagri. So Uddhavi is not the object of Gopi's madhu prem. So they cannot embrace it. So though he looks exactly like Krishna, fragrance like Krishna, but this who is this person? He must be a friend of Krishna. And they spoke with Uddhav. But one gopi was not speaking with Uddhav. She was not even looking what is going on. That person has come to Vrindavan from outside. Why? She was so absorbed in thinking of Krishna. And she saw a bumblebee. And thinking this bumblebee must be a messenger from Krishna coming from Mathura. She was rebuking the bumblebee and criticizing him. And criticizing Krishna to the bumblebee. Uddhav noticed that gopi. And he thought, this must be Srimati Radhika. Krishna told me about her. And from far away, Uddhav gave pranams. And just as he bowed down, Madhupakitava bandho mas prashangrim sapatnya. Don't touch my feet. You see, because when you bow down to someone, you're meditating. So just as he was bowing down, the bumblebee was going by Radhika's feet. Just as he was bowing down. And so everything Radharani is saying, criticizing the bumblebee, this is, Uddhav is taking it personally. You friend of a cheetah. What are you doing here? Go back to Mathura. It's very charming, very beautiful. So, in the madness of love, after speaking for the bumblebee, Radharani, she fainted. And she had all ecstatic symptoms, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was in Puri. When Mahaprabhu had a Karma Roop, when he became white like a conch shell. No one could recognize. So Radharani began to have these intense symptoms, sattvic bhavs. Even her Sakhis could not recognize her and they were all crying and fainting. Everyone became unconscious. Uddhav became unconscious from the waves of prema. After some time, they came back into external consciousness, Uddhav and the gopis. And the gopis put one seat here, asan here, and one asan here. And they invited Uddhav, please sit here. Because they understand he's bringing a message from Krishna. So, if you love someone and you did not see them for a long time, and then their friend comes, then what do you think? They must send a message. And this message must be full of love. Because Krishna is Rasik Shekhar. He's the highest relisher of the prema. So they gave a seat for Uddhav. And then, taking the garland, Krishna's garland, they held by the nose of Radhika and said, oh, Krishna has come back. And Radharani is smelling. Said, she opened the eyes and she came back into sense. So they tricked her to come out of her internal consciousness. And then they invited Radhika, please sit here. So then Radhika sat down. Uddhav was thinking, seeing the intense separation of Radhika and the gopis, he was crying, trembling. Oh, you can bring up the verse 10:47-27. And crying, he said, oh Krishna, how could you leave Srimati Radhika and the Braja Gopis? How could you leave them? They have given everything to you. They cannot live without you. How could you be so cruel as to give them up and go to Mathura? And then Uddhav heard the voice of Krishna. Hey Uddhav, I never leave Vrindavan. And then he looked, and instead of seeing Radhika all lean and thin and weeping, he saw Radha and Krishna together, smiling, laughing, joking, full of joy. Uddhav said, Krishna, you are here? And he gave pranam. And then he looked up to take the dust from Krishna's lotus feet, but he reached out and he disappeared. And then he saw, Radhika is there crying with her Sakhis. So then, 10:47, 27. So then Uddhavji, he said this verse, Sarvatma bhava dikrito babati nam madoksaje virahina mahabhaga mahan me nugraha kritaha. It means that, oh gopis, only you have the adhikar to serve Krishna and love Krishna here in Vrindavan. Why Sarvatma Bhav? You have the total love. Bhav means love here. Sarvatma, you love Krishna with your whole Atma. That means with Mahabhav. There's no Mahabhav outside of Braj Gopis. Ruddhabhav, Adi Ruddhabhav. Even though a little bit can come in the Sakhas, but it's only by association with the Gopis. Otherwise not. So, Bhavati Nama Doksaje, you are qualified to serve Adoksaj. Now, Adoksaj means that Krishna is beyond the senses. So the Aprakat Leela is beyond our senses. Prakat Leela, it may be seen. But Aprakat Leela, no. So you are serving that Krishna in Aprakat Leela, eternally. He realized that vision he had for a moment was the Aprakat Leela. Yogamaya showed him, and then he was back in the Prakat Leela. So then Uddhav is saying, you can see in the third line, Virahina Mahabhaga Mahanmaya Nugraha Krita. Oh Mahabhaga, oh greatly fortunate gopis. Mahanmaya Nugraha Krita. You have made me Mahan. You have made me very fortunate. You have given me Anugra. Anugra means mercy. You have given me great mercy. How? Virahena. By showing me your separation. You see, because prem, if someone will see persons meeting who have prem, you cannot understand how much they love each other. But when they are separated, the heart is broken and the love pours out. So if Uddhav had just seen Krishna with the gopis, then he would not have understood. But Virahina Mahabhaga Mahanmaya Nugraha Krita. Uddhav is crying. Oh gopis, you were always with Krishna in the Prakat Leela, Aprakat Leela. But only you are being merciful to me by showing me the Prakat Leela, where you are separated. And by this I can have some glimpse. What is love? I thought that I love Krishna, but now I realize I have no love at all. I am nowhere. The gopis are like on the top of the Mount Everest of prem. And I am at the bottom. And I am just looking up. I cannot even see the top. Like a man wearing a hat. He's looking up and his hat falls off. So Uddhav is like that. His buddhi, his intelligence. Uddhavo buddhi sattama. Krishna said Uddhav is very intelligent. But Uddhav's intelligence is like a hat. He's trying to see how great his gopis love and his buddhi falls to it. So, then Uddhav, he remembered, why Krishna sent me here? And he took out the messages. And the gopis cannot read, they're crying too much. And they could not read anyway, because Krishna was trembling so much when he was writing it that his handwriting is quite almost illegible. So, but Uddhavo Buddhi Sattamaha is very intelligent. So even the scribble he can. So then, next verse 28. Uddhav said, Sruyatam priya sandesho bhavati nam sukavaha yamadaya yagato badra aham batur haskaraha. Oh Badra. Now all Radhika is there, all gopis are all around Uddhav, and they what is our beloved Krishna? What is his message? Uddhav said, Sruyatam, here, Priya Sandesho, the message of your beloved. Sruyatam Priya Sandesho. Bhavati Nam Sukavaha. And this message will bring you great happiness. Bhavati Nam Sukavaha. This is very important, remember this. This message will bring you great happiness. Aham Bhartu Rahaskara. Now I, the confidential servant of my master, I am Rahaskara. Bhartu Rahaskara. I am the confidential servant of my master Krishna. So now, I have come here to bring you this message. Now, this message is very special. Perhaps you have read Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna book and the message of Krishna, how he said, my dear gopis, I am everywhere, I am all-pervading. Just like the elements, earth, water, fire and air and ether enter into everything, so I am inside and outside of everything. So, the yogis, they understand Atma Tattva, that the self is beyond waking, dreaming and deep sleep. And so, just like a person who is in Maya, just like a person who's had a bad dream, when they wake up, that dream still comes in their mind. But they push it out of their mind and think of the sense objects. And then they attain their real life and they get rid of the dream, the bad dream from their consciousness. So in the same way, the yogis, they get rid of the bad dream of material existence by meditating on the truth of the Atma. So gopis, you should do meditation. So many persons are familiar with the outline of Krishna's message. But in Krishna Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami Party is explaining what this message really means. See? Because, as Uddhav said here, Priya Sandesh, this is the message of your beloved. This is not the message of your yoga teacher. Bhavati Nam Sukavaya. This will give you great happiness. But this kind of instruction that you hear, this will really upset the gopis. What kind of loving message is this? Loving message is, I'm missing you so much, I'm coming soon. As soon as I can, I'll come and meet with you. Because your love for me is so great, I cannot live without you. This is a loving message. Not all this Tattva Siddhanta about yoga sadhana. So, Bhavati Nam Sukava. Uddhav said, this message will give you so much happiness. So what does it mean? It means that the meaning of Krishna's words that everyone takes to be the message, that is not what Krishna means. In other words, the same words, they have a very profound secret meaning. So, Paroksham Mamacha Priyam. See, Krishna has said, Paroksham Mamacha Priyam. The indirect explanation is very dear to me. Paroksh means indirect. So Krishna said, Paroksha Rishaya Parokshavada Rishaya, Paroksham Mamacha Priyam. The rishis, the sages, who have manifested the Vedas, they don't directly describe me, Krishna, the coward boy, in Vrindavan and my Leela, but it's indirect. So Paraksham Mamacha Priyam, and I am very pleased by the indirect expression. Because prem is also like that. Love cannot be expressed openly. It has to be hidden. So, Jiva Goswami Pad gives some examples. He says that, perhaps you know, Duryodhan wanted to kill Yudhishthira Maharaj and his brothers, the 5 Pandavas and Kunti Devi. So he said, oh, I've arranged a very nice holiday place for you. A beautiful cabin in the forest. A very nice palace in a rural place. You should go there, you'll be very happy. And so they're about to leave, and Vidura, because Duryodhana was there, Vidura said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, there is a weapon which, even though it is not made of iron, but it can still kill the body. So this was Parokshavad. He did not say that, oh, he's sending you to this house, but it's made of lac, and in the middle of the night he'll set fire to it and try to kill you all. But he spoke in an indirect way, and Yudhishthira Maharaj, being intelligent, could understand his message. So this is classic example of Parokshavad, indirect speech. Or another example Srila Jiva Goswami gives is, that Narad Rishi, he became the tutor to the 100,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha. What are their names? Yes? Who are the 100,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha? Try to read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. His first 100,000 sons were Haryashvas. And they were supposed to be educated and then be married and populate the whole universe. Because they're Prajapatis. They populate the universe. In the early days before the universe was full of beings. But Narad preached to them that they should renounce everything. And become sannyasis. So then Daksha was so upset. So then Daksha made another 100,000 sons, the Shavalasvas. And then Narad preached to them, they also went to the forest. Anyway. Don't lose your human form of life. Every day read Bhagavatam for a few hours. So, when Narad met with the Haryashvas to give them their material education and prepare them to be Prajapatis and fulfill their role of populating the universe, then Narad Rishi said, Uvacha chata ashva ayashva katam srakshata vai prajaha adistvantam bhuvo yuyam balisha bat balaka. Okay. So the meaning is this. Narad said, my dear Haryashvas, how can you do this occupation of populating the world? How is it possible? You have not seen the extremities of the earth. There is a kingdom where only one man lives. And there's a hole from which, having entered, no one ever comes out. And there is a woman there who is extremely unchaste. And she decorates herself with various attractive dresses. And the man who lives there is her husband. In that kingdom there is a river. And this river flows in both directions. And there is a wonderful home made of 25 elements. There's a swan that vibrates various sounds. And there's a spontaneously revolving object made of sharp razors and thunderbolts. Have you seen all of these things? Haya says, no, we've never seen such things in our life. He says, then you are balaka, you're inexperienced boys. You have no advanced knowledge, so then how can you do this activity of creating progeny? So in this way, Narada Muni spoke to them. But it was parokshavad. The meaning is that if knowledge is given directly, then people take it very cheaply. So very often spiritual knowledge is given in like a riddle, in an indirect way, in poetry, in a metaphor. And then everyone thinks, what's that? And it attracts their mind. They want to understand what it is. So in this way, to arouse the interest of the Hayasvas, Narad Rishi has spoken in Parokshavad. When he said there's a man who lives alone, that means the Atma, in the heart. But he has one wife who is unchaste, decorating herself with beautiful ornaments. That's your material intelligence. Your intelligence is a very unchaste wife for your soul, always cheating you. And the house of 25 elements is the actually it is the body, but it is one form of the Supreme Lord. And there's a river that flows in both directions. That's the universe. Because the universe, from the unmanifest Prakriti, manifests all the elements one by one, and then it flows the other way, and they all dissolve and the universe disappears. Like this. So in poetry, indirectly, he was stimulating the curiosity of the Haryasvas, and then afterwards he explained it, and when they heard this, then they gave up everything. They didn't do it, and they just focused fully in their devotion, spiritual life. So, in the same way, should understand that this message of Krishna, though it looks like tattva, it is full of prema only. But it is parokshavad. Sri Vallabhacharya, in his Subodhini commentary on Venugit, he said, Raso gupta eva rasatvam apadyate. Means that rasa, when it's hidden, then it becomes extremely relishable. Very beautiful. Just like if we say, there's one person, and he is very, very kind. And he is always driving the car for Prem Prayojan. And he helps the devotees very lovingly to have better nutrition. Then what? You're all thinking, aha! I did not say who I'm talking about or his name or anything, but how you remember in a more intense way. You understand? So rasa is like this. Just like in the Mahamantra. The name of Radha is not there directly. But Radha is the beginning and the end of the Mahamantra. The Mahamantra begins with Hare and ends with Hare Hare. So Srimati Radhika is prominent in the Mahamantra. She is the beginning and the end. But it's not open. If it were open, Radha, Radha, Radha all the time, then it would not be so relishable. So the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're relishing this Mahamantra so much more because Radhika is there, but somewhat hidden. Gurudev was also given an example. If there's a very beautiful woman, but she's naked, completely naked, she's not so beautiful. As if she's wearing a very, very fine dress. Very slightly transparent. And her beauty is just like peeping out from the fine cloth. Especially if it starts to rain and it becomes wet. And starts to become more transparent. Then her beauty is peeking out. then the beauty becomes more attractive. So in the same way, the rasa which is naked, that means openly expressed, is not so sweet as the rasa which is covered. So Krishna's message is like this, covered. So now come 10:47:29. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Uddhav is saying, Bhagavan said. Now gopis are. You should also be like this, like gopis. Oh? Listen. Bhavati nam viyogo me nahi savatmana kvachit. Krishna said, oh my dear gopis, your separation from me is never possible. Sarvatmana, in the absolute sense. Sarvatmana, in all ways. Your separation from me is not possible in all ways. Nahi sarvatmana kvachit. Now the meaning is this, that the inner meaning is that, oh my dear gopis, though you're experiencing separation from me now, in this prakat prakash, but at the same time, there are so many other prakashis where we are together. So there's no question of separation between us being complete separation, absolute separation. So, the normal meaning of this verse would be like in Damodar Lila, Mother Yashoda took a rope and she went to put the rope around Krishna's waist, but it was 2 fingers too short. She took so many ropes and it was still. Why? Because in Srimad Bhagavatam it says, see, Krishna has no inside and no outside. How can you limit him when he has no inside and no outside? He's absolute. He's everywhere. When Mother Yashoda suspected that Krishna had been eating dirt, said, let me look inside your mouth. Krishna said, Naham bhakshitabam ambe sarva mitya asinaha. Oh, I have not eaten earth. All my friends, they are liars. And Krishna opened his mouth and Mother Yashoda looked inside and she saw not only the earth, but all the planets, the whole universe was there inside Krishna. So Krishna being the absolute truth, his swarup is unlimited. He has no inside and out. So the general sense would be, oh my dear gopis, you can never be separated from me. Because everything is in me and I am in everything. It's the general meaning. But by my inconceivable potency that can make contradictory characteristics reside together, though I am everywhere, everything is in me and I am in everything, I am also present in a madhyam swarup, a medium size form, like a human being going here and there. This is general meaning. But what Krishna is really trying to say here is that, no, in this prakash, it seems that I have gone to Mathura and that you are separated from me. But in so many other prakashis, then I am present there and you are present and we are together. So there is not only the prakash of the Dham, but there's the prakash of Krishna's swarup. So his Dham can have many prakashis, many forms. And Krishna's body can have many forms within one prakash, or he has many forms in many prakashas. And Krishna is telling the gopis that you also have many prakashas. That you are present in many forms in all of these other places along with me. So we can never be fully separated. Now, what does prakash mean? Prakash is like, if there's a mirror, then there's object, bimba, and then in the mirror there's a pratibimba, prakash. Or if the moon is shining in the sky and you look in the water of a lake, you'll see the moon reflected there. This is prakash. So the prakash and pratibimba, like reflection, it means the same thing. However, this example is not a complete example because there's a difference between Krishna's prakash or Gopi's prakash or Vrindavan prakash and just the reflection here in this world. So, although Krishna is one, he can be present in many places. So a prakash is like that. One object can be reflected in many places. But the difference is that in the case of a prakash, the reflection is only two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional, like the original object. The original object is soft. The original object has fragrance. But the prakash does not. But in the case of Krishna, his prakashas, they are three-dimensional. They are fragrant. All the qualities are there. In the reflection, the form is also reversed. But in Krishna's prakashas, he is the same. His form is not reversed. Another thing is that when there's a reflection, what the bimba is doing, then the pratibimba is also doing. But Krishna's prakash, he's doing one thing and his prakash is doing something else, his prakash is doing another prakash. They're all doing something different. So in this sense, the prakashas are also different. And there's another way in which the prakashas are very, very different. And this is what makes it different from a yogi. Like a yogi, by his mystic power, he can do kaya vyuha and have 4, 5, 6, 8 forms. But when Krishna manifests his other prakashas, they have a separate abhiman. The yogi knows, I am this yogi and I've manifested these forms. And they're all me. But when Krishna manifests the forms, they have a separate abhiman. That abhiman means self-identity. So this prakash of Krishna here thinks, I am Krishna, I am here. And that prakash in another place, in the same lila, or in another lila, in another universe, in another prakash, thinks, I am Krishna, I am only here. Every form thinks, I am Krishna, I am only here. And they're not aware of the other forms even. So this, it is called Prakash Bhed, Abhiman Bhed. When the Prakash is different, the identity is different as well. Just like when when Narad went to Dwarka and Krishna married 16,000 queens. And he married them all at the same time in different palaces. And wherever Uddhav went, he saw Krishna doing something different. And when Krishna saw Narad coming, oh, Narad, how wonderful. As if he didn't see him. But he just saw him in the previous palace and the one before that and the one before that. But it was always a surprise for Krishna that Narad had come. So every form has a different abhiman as well. And in those wedding ceremonies, the parents have to be there. So Vasudeva and Devaki, being the parents of Krishna in Dwarka, were present in the fire yagyas, in all of the palaces as well. We see this in Gaura Lila, when there were so many Sankirtan groups around the Jagannath Rath. But Mahaprabhu was present in every group. But everyone saw he's only in my group. Prataparudra Maharaj was on the roof of his palace looking, and he saw Mahaprabhu was in all the groups. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was next to him, he said to the king, you are very fortunate, because he could only see Mahaprabhu in one group. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was seeing one Mahaprabhu in one group. Prataparudra was seeing Mahaprabhu in all the groups. The people in the different groups were only seeing him in their particular group. And Mahaprabhu himself, each form of Mahaprabhu didn't know he was in the other groups and thought, I'm only in this group. Because of Prakash Bhed, Abhiman Bhed. So, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Leela Veshi Prabhu Nahi Nijanu Sandan, Icha Jani Leela Shakshi Kari Samadan. Mahaprabhu Leela Vesh. Mahaprabhu is thinking, I'm Radharani meeting with Krishna at Kurukshetra. Right? That's Ratiyatra. Mahaprabhu thinks, I'm Radharani meeting with Krishna at Kurukshetra. And trying to persuade him to come back to Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu cannot relish that mood of Radharani and also think, I'm over there, I'm over there, I'm over there. No. You see? So Leela Veshi Prabhu Nahi Nija Anusandam. Anusandam means investigate. Being absorbed in his Leela, each form of Mahaprabhu never investigated whether he's in the other kirtan groups or not. But Icha Jani Leela Shakti Kari Samadan, knowing his desire, the Icha Shakti, Icha Jani, knowing his desire, the Leela Shakti Kari Samadan, reconciled everything. Right? All the devotees wanted Mahaprabhu to dance in their group. So Leela Shakti made him present in all the groups, but hidden from the others. Mahaprabhu just wanted to relish the Radharani's bhav meeting with Krishna at Kurukshetra. But at the same time, earlier Mahaprabhu had a desire. I want to give mercy to Prataparudra Maharaj because he saw him sweeping in front of Lord Jagannath. So, because Yogamaya knew Mahaprabhu wanted to give mercy to Prataparudra Maharaj, but Mahaprabhu was so absorbed in his Leela, he wasn't thinking about that. So the Leela Shakti said, okay, Mahaprabhu, you have to be in all of the Sankirtan groups, and we'll hide it from everyone, but we'll just show it to Prataparudra Maharaj on the roof. The Leela Shakti did it. Mahaprabhu was not aware. He didn't decide, I'm going to dance in all the groups. He's not even thinking about it, because his Abhiman is Radharani's Abhiman at Kurukshetra. So how the Leela is going on? So many dimensions. Only the Leela Shakti knows everything. And sometimes, on another day, we may tell that pastime, the time when the Leela Shakti also didn't know what was going on. But that's another pastime for another day. So, see, Krishna is saying to the gopis, Nahi sarvatmana kvachit. Oh, Braj gopis, you should know that I can never be absolutely separated from you. Gopis heard it. What is this? Just like the elements are present in everything, so I am present everywhere. What is this terrible message? Hey Uddhav, is there something else? Read something else. What else did he say? Is that all he said? And then Uddhav read it again. And then they had another realization. And then he read it again and they had another realization. So what did they realize? We'll explain in the evening class. Bale Vrindavan Pyare Lal ki jai, Bale Sanwali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Sham. Shiva Gurudev ki jai. Gaur Pramanande Gaya Jiva. So hold that torch. We just set the scene. Now, gopis have heard the first words of Krishna. But how are they taking it? This we'll discuss in the evening. And the rest of the messages as well. Very amazing. Quite amazing. So, we should sing one kirtan. Everyone be ready at 4:30 in the evening. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Goswami की जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य मोहनित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासनि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री भजमंडल के चमन गौर मन की जय कर श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री गोविंद गोविंद मारन मोहन की जय अनंत गौर वैष्णव की जय श्री भक्त वृंद की जय महेश्वर सस विष्णु की जय जय गौर